got new headlights. I got the electrical connection LCD headlights, LEDs, sorry, headlights for the Goldwing, and now I'm just trying to figure out how we're going to install the high beams. So it's going to take a little bit of work to try to figure out where we are. So with the heater noise, I'll probably be dubbing over most of this just because the two camera angles are going to pick up the sound from the heater, and it's cold enough outside that we can't be out here without it. We'd freeze our butt off. So yeah, we're going to look into it. So I still got the cowl off from doing the K&N air filter. Everything's basically put back together except the cowl. A little bit of the wiring I have to finish up, but for right now, I think we're in a good spot that maybe we can see what's the best route for doing this. One thing I am going to do is I'm going to try pulling one of the speakers out to see if it gives me clear access behind it. If it doesn't, I'll just put it back in, but I'm hoping that maybe there's a way around breaking your arm and your hand and putting it on backwards to make this work. So we'll get back to it in a minute. I'll keep videoing some of it as I go, but then I'll just dub over it, I believe, unless the sound doesn't pick up that well today. So that's been the problem with the last two videos, is too much heater noise. But we're in Ontario, Canada, and there's nothing we can do about the cold for at least another couple of months. So we'll get right back. Okay, so a little bit more investigation. It's not that far to get to the high beams with the cowl off. So if we look up in here with a light, there is the plug for the headlight right there. So it's right in this vicinity right here. Now that looks like that can be, let's take another look. Yes, it can. So this bar can be undone that supports the right there. Looks like about an 8mm bolt. Just a cap screw. I believe the nut is welded onto the back of the mount. So we should be able to take that bar out, and that'll give my wrist a little bit less activity than I want. Now, if we go over to the other side, we have the same thing going on. And it may be that we can just undo this one and tilt the bar out of the way, and it'll give us clear access to that headlight without any other problems. So that's going to be pretty much an easy go. So we're happy. So we'll shut off again, and I'll start tearing apart. Okay, so what I was able to do was take out the one little metric cap screw, 8mm wrench. I took that off of there, and that allowed me just to tilt that out of the way. So now it's not really interfering with my route to the work. So that's good. So another thing we did was this wiring cluster that's here. It has these little plastic headed screws that you can, they're just in there finger tight. So if you get a look at it up close, so that's what it looks like up close. They're easy to take out. That allows you to pull this cluster back out of the way while you're installing the lights. So now we can get it right in there. Shove that way for now. So there's the wiring plug for the lights. that's out of the way. The rubber boot. Now the rubber boot, the tangs are vertical. For some reason. That's hard to get out. Stuff in the way in there, so we're going to have to investigate whether we need to move something else. And there's the old bulb. So that's how easy that is to get out. If we were just putting the quartz lights back in, that'd be an easy breeze. Okay, so we got one out. We'll stop the video. I'll take. Okay. So I've got the little bar out of the way. I'm able to get right in here, pull the rubber grommet off for this light, and then push in on the tang and let it drop. It lets the bulb loose and out. So all 4 bulbs all the way across, all disengage from the left hand side, drop the wire down and then swing it out of the way, and it releases the bulb. And the flat part of the bulb, is up on all 4 all the way across. Okay, so we're to this point now. I'm gonna turn the camera off again. I'm gonna do some cleaning because it's dusty and I don't want that dust getting into my bulbs. We'll be back when I'm ready to go with the new bulb. Okay, so we've got the new bulbs. We have the 2 added heat sinks that will be installed on this bike. So everything that comes in here, we got tie wraps that are supplied. Small little Allen wrench supplied. The bulbs themselves, and then I guess the little transformer boxes. So this is the prong that will fit into the OEM headlight plug. And this is the electrical connection connector to go right to directly to the bulb. So the bulb, it has a mating plug with a thread on it to accept the power line from the bike. The heat shrink or heat sink is threaded on and they're tight. Get a brand clean rag. The edges are just a little sharp. You just need a rag just so that you're able to break it loose. So there. Now, we take one of these. One of these added rings. Slide it on. and you made it to the flat. It has to sit like that. Okay. Now, you should be able to slide this in and install it. Just going to make sure I've got everything under my path so I can go directly in. There. So that heat sink, the big heavy one, slides right in there. It actually fits right into where the bulb is. Now, just have to ensure that we've got everything correct. Everything is good. Okay. We are installed. So now you can see how the flat, that made it hard to get into there. And it was actually a little bit hard to spring that unit to get that wire back hooked in there. It took a little bit of strength. Now you see that O-ring there? That O-ring has to be kept nice so it's not being bothered by anything. Back we go. Now take this, clean up the rubber as best we can. We don't want any excess dust on it or anything bothering us for this part of the install. Now, according to the instructions, this has to go on now. Pull the wire back, slide this in. It in on an angle. So the tabs are 2 o'clock and 7 o'clock, not 12 and 6. Leaves them exposed a little better for us to get at. Now, next thing is the heat sink. So we feed that over the wire and we slide that in. Do not cross thread it, and then we start to thread it in. It's only slight resistance of the rubber boot to it so far. Probably got 3 turns on it now. And they say just to go finger tight. Don't go crazy on it. So there. Now we come to making this connection into the wiring of the electrical connection light. Okay. Very easy, just rotate it gently and a little bit of pressure and it'll drop in when it's in the right spot. Again, just finger tight. And then we are looking for the OEM wiring. So what I would say is we're probably going to want to put it right there. Right up under there, out of the way. I think that's the best spot for it. So right up in here, I think that's where we're going to go with that. But let's do a test run first. We've made the connection to the bike. And oh my. Look at my messy toolbox. Standard low beam, high beam. Oh my God. Wow. Okay. Jarvisbiker's impressed already. So, I'm gonna go get my rubbing alcohol because all they give me is those little alcohol swabs. That ain't cutting it for me, so I'm gonna go get my bottle of alcohol and I'm gonna clean up in there and put the sticky pad on to hold the box in place for the high beam up out of the way, and that should be good for that. And yeah, so we'll be back. So I've wiped down the area where I'm gonna stick the box in. And just peeling off the last layer of tape. Now, I want to make this a little bit easy, so let's pull that speaker wire out of the way and let's put it right there. Has no adhesion at all. I think that's the problem. Do it again. There. That did it. It's so cold out here, the alcohol didn't evaporate, so it was still wet. There. So get the camera up close so you can see where I put it. Alright, so there's the box. It's stuck right inside of the fairing. Here's the wiring, OEM wiring plug to the new electrical connection plug for the new light. Everything's tucked up in there out of the way. The new light is in, and now that goes across there like that. We'll do up that bolt and we're all done on that one. So I'll probably leave it off for now. I'm just going to leave it out of the way because I may want to bend this back out of the way so that we can get down into the other right side light, the standard headlight. So there won't be much video into that one, but at least we saw the other ones. So you're back. So what I did was I stuck it with the adhesive pad right to the, basically the side of the other high beam light molding of the module in there. And I've got about 1/8 of an inch of room to get that rubber grommet off again if I ever had to without breaking the adhesive pad. So even if I had to do that, that's no big deal for me. So everything's working, the wiring all tucked away nice. My heated grip switch back in the right place for after. Okay, so let's put our little bar back into place now that we're done in there. It was a good idea to leave that undone while I did the low beam, so remember that for next time. No way to get a socket on the lower one. It's probably a good idea that we didn't tighten it up or take it off. We'd be having a hell of a time doing it back up. Open and wrench, the only way. Alright, so there's one set of the lights in. Okay, so one box full done. Okay, we'll be back in a minute with more. Alright, so I turned the heater off for the second half. We got the shop warmed up enough, it'll stay warm enough for me for a little bit. So we got that bar out of the way. I think we can go right to doing the install on this side. Now these little heat sinks, when you look at the bulb, right in here is an O-ring. That O-ring stays there, you don't mess with that. Take your clean rag, loosen that off. Take it off, set it good aside. Now if you look, the O-ring is right there, but this heatsink slides right over and sits right on this ledge. So it doesn't touch that O-ring, so it should not be interfered with when you put it on. Just don't tip it up and dump the O-ring off on the floor when you're doing it. Okay. So that's ready to install, just like that. So what I've been doing is, my trick is I put my fingers right up against it so that I'm gripping and actually pushing this heatsink into the frame of the bulb and keeping the flat aligned. So it's got tension on it, that it's pretty rigid when you do that. Thing is that your wrist can only take that for so long, holding that in place. So we got to move fairly quickly here. Now, the worst thing that can happen is things get misaligned. And it looks like everything went. A little tougher to get the rubber in on this one. trying to thread it on. The little washer's kind of in the way here. Alright, let's try this again. Okay, so I think we're going to have to get it on and then spin it around. So we're going to want this roughly there. So we'll go in this way and this way. So there's a wiring harness bundle right in the way. So to get the boot back onto the high beam module, I had to go in, around, and under a wiring harness that had a leg of wire coming off of it, so it's a Y. I had to get in around by that, and then get it into the lip, and spin the lip up and over in behind that clump of wiring. And then finally, after about a good 10-minute fight, it finally popped on in place. So now the O-ring is in place, that little wire washer. Now it's time for the heat sink. So remember, finger tight, because you're actually spinning on the fins of the heat sink, so you don't want to break that. Okay, wires here, that isn't done up yet, but this is our power for our accessories, GPS, satellite radio, everything comes off this plug, so that's all been redone. But I wanted to bring this around so that I was behind this with the plug for the headlight, because I want to mount the headlight module for the high beam up here, out of the way. So that's what I've done. So now I got to clean it up with some alcohol, and then we'll be back. Plug so that it had to be fastened up. Okay, so we've got 3 of the 4 bulbs in. Everything works. So now it's just remove the final headlight. Remove the final headlight module out and replace it with the LED. So, seeing which is the best way to do this, I'm going to go with the handlebar up on the same side. Grab the tab on the rubber boot, pull it out, done. Reach in again. So I need to find a spot for that. Hide. Just to get the power plug out of the way so it doesn't get back in there and mess us up. Okay. Yeah, everything looks good in there. This one should be one of the better ones. So again, grab it with a clean cloth. Break it loose. Take off the heat sink. Set it aside. Take the other extended heat sink. Slide it on. It's on. Spring O-ring thingy, whatever they want to call that, is on. Everything's in place. Grab it with my patented grip, and in we go. Got it on the first try. Okay, O-ring is in spot. Let's clean this up. Okay, put the rubber boot back on. Easy breezy. Now, the heat sink. Why do I keep saying heat shrink? Onto the cable. In we go. Okay. Now, same as before, we need to find a spot. Oh, there's one right, same as the other side. There's a ledge there, so we can sticky bomb it to it. I thought we checked that. Let's try the obvious plug first. How about we turn that around? My God. Is that bright or what? Wow. Okay. So that's it for installing the electrical connections, LED lights on the GL1800. Pretty close quarters. There's opportunity to tuck things away and get them up in nice out of the way, so that worked out well. Pleased with that. So now I can continue on and start closing the bike up. I'm done under the hood now for the season, and we can start getting things put back together. So hopefully anybody that's got an 05 and down, this would be what you would find when you go to change the headlights. And the best thing you can do for your hands is to take off the top cowl just like you would for the air filter change or anything under the hood. So that made the job considerably less vulgar, I guess. This side, on the left side, with the electrical connections under here that are in the way, and the air duct and the wiring harness itself, it was a little bit of a problem, but once you do it once and somebody shows you how to do it, it's pretty easy. I would maybe lube the boot to let it slide around in the groove a little bit easier than I did it without, and made it a little bit harder, but just for the way things went, everything went really well, and I'm very pleased. So this is Jarvisbiker saying goodnight, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.